It was a time of transformation. The 1960s America stood on the edge of cultural revolution. But in the heart of Boston, a shadow was spreading. 13 women were raped and strangled in their own homes. No signs of forced entry. No clear motive. Just a chilling silence and a killer that seemed to vanish like smoke. Greater than this is the twisted, controversial, and still debated story of the Boston Strangler. A case that haunted a city, terrified a nation, and continues to spark doubt to this very day. Greater than I'm your host, and this is the Crime Stream. Subscribe now because what we uncover today will chill you to the core. Let's go back to Boston, 1962, a bustling New England city with cobblestone streets, Irish pubs, and a reputation for tradition. But beneath the surface, the city was about to face a horror it had never seen before. Greater than on June 14, 1962. 55-year-old Anna Sleezers was found murdered in her third-floor apartment. She was naked, her body placed in a deliberately staged position. A cord from her bathrobe had been tied around her neck in a bow. There was no sign of a break-in. Her handbag sat untouched. This wasn't a robbery. It was something far darker. B-roll, vintage Boston street scenes. Headlines: woman found strangled. Moody music builds. Greater than in less than 2 weeks. The killer struck again. 68-year-old Mary Mullen. Then 65-year-old Nina Nichols. Then Helen Blake. The victims kept coming. By the end of 1962, 6 women were dead and Boston was panicking. The murders shared eerie similarities. Victims were strangled, often with their own clothing. Some were sexually assaulted. Many were found in provocative or posed positions. Greater than, but here's the twist. The victims ranged from elderly widows in their 80s to a 19-year-old college student. They lived in different neighborhoods, different ethnicities, no clear connection. Greater than what linked them was how they were killed and how easily the killer seemed to enter their homes. Greater than women were terrified. Locks were changed. Doors doubled. Gun sales soared. Even police officers began escorting nurses and students home at night. TV clips from 1962. Women discussing fear, stores advertising, locks, and alarms. The media coined the name the Boston Strangler, a title that stuck, even as the facts got murkier. The Boston Police Department launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Over 1,000 suspects were interviewed, but there was no forensic science, no DNA testing, and no witnesses. Greater than detectives were frustrated. Each new murder carried just enough variation to cause doubt. Some victims were raped, some weren't, some had valuables stolen, some had everything left intact. Greater than, was this the work of a single, evolving killer, or were there multiple predators using the same horrifying MO? Clips of detectives speaking at press conferences, diagrams of murder scenes, with public pressure mounting. The police faced criticism from the mayor and media. The case was spiraling out of control. Then came a shocking development. In 1964, a man named Albert DeSalvo was arrested not for murder, but for impersonating a modeling agent and sexually assaulting dozens of women. Greater than DeSalvo's, known as the measuring man, he would enter homes under the pretense of taking measurements for modeling gigs. Once inside, he'd assault his victims. Greater than, while in prison, DeSalvo met with high-profile attorney F. Lee Bailey. Then, in a stunning confession, DeSalvo claimed to be the Boston Strangler, admitting to all 13 murders. Greater than, he described each crime in meticulous detail down to furnishings in the victims' homes and what they were wearing. Some details had never been made public. Play snippets of interviews with DeSalvo, courtroom sketches, prison photos, but here's the red flag. There was no physical evidence tying DeSalvo to the murders. Not a fingerprint, not a witness, just a confession. Greater than, and DeSalvo would later recant. Was he a fame-seeker? A mentally unstable man coerced into a confession. For decades, the case remained in limbo. DeSalvo was convicted of unrelated rape charges and sentenced to life in prison. In 1973, he was stabbed to death under suspicious circumstances in his prison cell. He was 42. Greater than, but the mystery didn't end there. In 2013, a major forensic breakthrough shook the case wide open. Using advanced Y chromosome DNA analysis, investigators matched semen found on 19-year-old victim Mary Sullivan to Albert DeSalvo's DNA, obtained from a discarded water bottle by a family member. Greater than this, confirmed DeSalvo was at the scene of at least one Boston Strangler murder, but it didn't explain the rest. Greater than what about the other 12 victims? Some had no signs of sexual assault. Some had different murder methods. No DNA from was found at any other scene. Sources: CNN, Boston Globe, FBI.gov. Was DeSalvo the lone killer, or was he just one of several, each hiding behind the myth of the Boston Strangler? Criminologists remain divided. Some believe DeSalvo killed Mary Sullivan and, possibly a few others, but not all, 13 inches. Others suggest a copycat scenario, one killer began the spree, and others mimicked the MO. Still others point to DeSalvo's mental health history, noting he was likely schizophrenic and prone to fantasy. Greater than the truth may never be fully known, but what's undeniable is this: 13 women were murdered in a similar fashion, and only one case is definitively solved. Greater than to this day, families of the victims continue to seek justice and clarity. The Boston Strangler left a scar on American criminal history. His case has inspired books, films, documentaries, and podcasts. In 2023, Hulu released The Boston Strangler, starring Keira Knightley, based on the real-life investigation. Greater than but beyond the headlines. This is a story of victims of women whose lives were taken far too soon, and whose names deserve to be remembered. On-screen tribute: Anna Sleezers, Nina Nichols, Helen Blake, Ida Erga, Jane Sullivan, Sophie Clark, Patricia Bissett, Mary Brown, Beverly Sammons, Evelyn Corbin, Joanne Graff, Mary Sullivan, Mary Mullen. Greater than may their stories never be forgotten. If you found this video thought-provoking, please like and subscribe to the Crime Stream. We bring you real stories with real weight, no fluff, just facts. Greater than have your own theory on the Boston Strangler. Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. Greater than until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay safe.